How are you feeling today? There are evenings like this, you do not cry. You do not feel sad either. From the outside, everything still looks fine. You finish your work, sit down, let out a breath, but strangely, that breath does not make you feel any lighter. You pick up your phone with no clear purpose, just scrolling, and then you stop here, not out of curiosity, not because you are expecting someone to say something big. It is just that you need to hear something real enough, so you do not have to try to understand anymore. Maybe you are in a relationship. Maybe you have already left it, but the feeling is the same. You are not in pain. You are just tired of having to think about how to say things the right way, tired of having to weigh whether your reaction is too much, tired of asking yourself whether you are asking for too much. At first, you think it is only temporary. Everyone goes through this sometimes. When you love someone, you have to try a little, right? But then those little things last longer than you expected. You begin to stay silent more often, not because there is nothing left to say, but because you are no longer sure whether you are being heard. There are things you have thought through carefully in your head, but in the end, you let them go. Not because you are afraid of arguing, but because you are tired of having to explain why you feel the way you do. And in those very small moments, you start to feel that you are no longer standing fully inside this relationship. It is not that you want to leave, but it is also no longer you staying. In a natural way, you still care. But the sense of lightness no longer comes along with that care. Then there is a very quiet moment. Nothing happens at all, and you suddenly think, since when did being beside someone I love start to make me tense like this? That question does not scare you. It just sits there, very softly. But the moment that question appears, it is usually because inside you, something has already begun to change. At first, you do not notice them. They are just very small things. So small that if you told someone else, they would say, "What is there to be tense about?" The way they start a morning, the way they react when they are tired, the way they stay silent or speak. At that time, it still feels normal. Everyone is different. When you love someone, you have to learn to accept it, right? And you really did accept it by adjusting yourself first, a little softer, a little more patient, a little quicker to let things go, not because you are weak, but because you want things to be peaceful. But when you live beside each other long enough, those small differences no longer stand alone. They line up day after day, in very ordinary moments, a familiar sentence, a familiar reaction, a way of handling things that you can predict even before it happens. And strangely, precisely because you can predict it, you feel tired, not because it is wrong, but because you know you will have to adjust yourself one more time. There are moments when you no longer react right away, not because you agree. You just no longer have enough energy to begin another round of explaining. You start asking yourself, am I being too picky? Or am I just overthinking? Those questions do not make things clearer. They only pull you back to scrutinize yourself. And so, instead of looking at the growing heaviness, you begin to doubt it. You tell yourself, I must just be tired. It must be work. Everyone who loves for a long time feels this way. But there is one thing you cannot deny. Every time that difference appears, you feel yourself. Step back a little. No one pushes you away, but you no longer step forward. And in those very brief silences, you begin to realize what makes you tired is not any single specific thing. It is the feeling that you have been living long enough in a rhythm that is not your own. That thought is not clear yet. It has just surfaced, like a small wave, not strong enough to sweep anything away, but strong enough to signal that underneath there are deeper layers, waiting to be touched. At some point, those differences are no longer on the surface. They begin to touch you, not through words, but through feeling. You notice yourself becoming irritated more quickly than before, not because the other person does something outrageous, just a very familiar action. But this time, it hits a very deep point. It might be the way they brush off something. That is very important to you. Or the way they respond when you need to be heard. At that moment, you no longer think, "We are different." You begin to think, "Why do I have to endure this?" And right after that thought, guilt appears. Guilt for being too demanding. Guilt because the other person did not mean to. Guilt for feeling tired while loving someone. So you return to what feels most familiar, adjusting yourself one more time. You tell yourself, "It's fine, let it go. It's not worth the tension. I understand," but understanding no longer makes you feel lighter. You start to notice that every time that difference repeats, something inside you reacts very quickly. You withdraw, not to run away, but to protect yourself. You share less, expect less, hopeless that the other person will understand what you have not said. And the saddest part is, you do not do these things in anger. You do them in silence. The silence of someone who has tried hard enough not to make things worse. But that very silence creates a strange kind of distance. No one sees it. No one names it. It is just that you begin to live beside the other person without touching each other anymore. And somewhere inside you, another question slowly takes shape. No longer, am I being too much? But if I keep being like this, will I still be myself? That question does not frighten you. It only makes you stop. And that very moment of stopping is when you begin to stand in front of a different truth. There's a moment like this. You are no longer irritated by any specific thing, not because they forgot a promise, not because of a single careless act, but because of the way they see things is not the same as you, the way they downplay what you find important, the way they stay silent at moments when you need someone to stand with you. At that point, you do not know what to say, not because you lack a reason, but because you are not sure whether that reason will be held. You begin to realize every time there is a difference, you already know the outcome, that you will be the one to give in, that you will be the one to understand, that you will be the one to say, "It's okay." At first, you do it out of love, then out of habit, and eventually because you no longer want to be more tired. But something quietly happens. Every time you give in, you lose a little of the feeling that you are being chosen. No one tells you that you are wrong. No one forces you to change. It is just that the things you carry no longer have a place to be set down. You are still there, still living together. But inside, you begin to feel that you are standing slightly off from yourself. And what scares you the most is not arguing. It is the fact that you have grown used to that feeling, used to not saying everything, used to adjusting yourself, used to shrinking yourself so that everything can stay calm. At this point, you no longer ask, who is right, who is wrong? You begin to ask a different question, very softly. If I keep living like this, will I still be myself? That question does not need an answer right away. It only makes you stop. And when you stop long enough, you will realize there are differences that cannot be resolved by compromise because they touch. the way each person chooses to live. And when you begin to see that, it is usually because underneath, there is something deeper still, waiting for you to look at directly. Perhaps by now, you have noticed something very subtle, that the heaviness you feel does not come only from what is happening now. It is like when a small thing suddenly hurts more than you expected, not because it is big, but because it touches a place you have been carrying for a very long time. The way you learned to stay, the way you learned to give in, the way you learned to understand yourself before expecting anyone else to understand you. Maybe from very early on, you grew used to listening more than being listened to, used to paying attention to other people's emotions before you even realized what you yourself were feeling, and you brought that into this relationship, not because you wanted to. It is just because it feels familiar. So when the other person unintentionally overlooks something you value, you are not only sad about the present, you are sad because of a very old feeling has been called back. The feeling that you have to manage on your own, the feeling that you have nowhere to set things down, the feeling that if you do not understand yourself, no one else will do it for you. The other person may not know at all. They are just living the way they are used to. And you are trying to live in a way that keeps you from being left behind. One more time. And so, two different stories quietly run side by side. No one is bad. No one is trying to hurt anyone. It is just that each person is reacting from a very different place. At this point, you are no longer thinking only about this relationship. You begin to see yourself in it. You see what you usually do, what you usually endure, what you usually carry on your own, without naming it. And when you see that, everything is no longer as tense as before. There is just a very quiet sadness that perhaps you have been carrying too much alone for a very long time. That very feeling opens up a very still space, not to reach a conclusion, just for you to ask yourself, could it be that it is time for me to be seen in a different way? And when that question appears, it is usually because inside you, you are ready to step into an even deeper space. There is something very easy to misunderstand. You think that as long as you explain things more clearly, everything will be fine. But the more you try to say things the right way, the more you feel that you are standing farther from the other person. Not because they are not listening, but because every time you speak your truth, both of you become guarded. You choose your words carefully. They carefully keep their distance. No one wants to hurt anyone, but no one feels safe anymore to open up just a little more. There are moments when you talk about your feelings, but the other person hears it as if it were an accusation. And when they react, you find yourself pulling back what you just said. Not because you were wrong. You just do not want things to become more tense. Gradually, you learn a very familiar way, holding things in, holding in unfinished thoughts, holding in sentences you never got to finish, holding in even the smallest expectations. No one teaches you this, but you learn it very quickly because it keeps things calm for a while. The only thing is that silence does not make you feel closer. It is like two people standing in the same room, but both turning their backs to protect themselves. You begin to realize that each person carries a different fear. You fear being seen as too much. They fear being seen as not enough. And between those two fears, a space forms. No one intentionally creates it, but no one knows how to fill it either. By this point, you no longer just want to be understood. You want to be understood without having to pay the price of making yourself smaller And that very human desire places you in front of another question. Not loud, but clearer than before. Am I trying to hold on to a relationship? Or am I just trying to hold on to a sense of safety? For both of us, that question does not make everything collapse. It only makes you stand still a little longer. And it is precisely in that stillness, when no one says anything more, that you begin to realize the issue may not lie in what just happened. It lies a little deeper, in a place where, for a long time, you have been used to avoiding looking. There is something that usually appears only when you are tired enough to stop blaming, not because you think you are wrong, but because you begin to feel curious about your own reactions. You remember the times you stayed silent before the other person finished speaking, the moments you predicted the outcome and no longer wanted to try, the times you withdrew, thinking saying it won't change anything anyway. In those moments, you do not blame yourself. You simply notice that you, too, have changed. Not in big ways, just slower to open up, faster to defend, less expectant, but also less present. You begin to realize that distance does not appear in a single day. It is created through many moments where both of you choose what feels safest for yourselves. You choose silence. To avoid making things tense, they choose avoidance so they do not feel accused. No one has bad intentions. Each person is just protecting themselves in the way they know best. And as you look back, you notice something uncomfortable, but very real. There are times when you no longer say what you need, but only say what you think the other person can hear, not because you are being fake, but because you have learned that this is the least painful way. But when you do this for too long, you also lose something very important: the feeling of being yourself in this relationship. That thought does not make you panic. It simply quiets you, because for the first time, you no longer see this relationship as a matter of right and wrong. You see it as two people trying to love each other with what they have right now. And when you are able to see it that way, something very different begins to happen. Anger softens. Defensiveness slows down. In its place comes a new question, not for the other person, but for yourself. What am I really hoping for in this relationship? That question does not demand an immediate answer. It simply opens up a different space, a space where love is no longer just about trying to stay, but begins to be seen as a journey that requires both people to grow together. By now, perhaps you have stopped asking, should I stay or should I leave? Instead, you begin to ask something else, softer, but deeper. What is this relationship teaching me? Not every relationship enters our lives to make everything gentle. Some relationships come to reveal parts of us that, if we lived alone, we might never see. Very old fears, very familiar reflexes, ways of loving that once helped us survive, but no longer help us grow. And when you begin to look at this relationship through that lens, things soften a little. You no longer see differences as something that must be fixed immediately. You no longer see exhaustion as a sign of failure. You begin to see that love is not only being with someone who makes you feel comfortable. Sometimes it is being with someone who forces you to face yourself. This does not mean you have to endure. It also does not mean you have to sacrifice yourself. It simply means that every relationship poses its own question. Some relationships ask you, Can you trust someone? Some relationships ask, do you dare to say what you need? And some relationships, like this one, ask you a very direct question. Are you willing to grow without making yourself disappear? That question is not light, but it is also not as frightening as you once thought. Because when you begin to see love as a space for growth, you no longer try to hold on to everything at any cost. You begin to listen to your exhaustion as a signal, not a flaw. And when you can do that, you begin to see more clearly what is actually happening outside. The things that once seemed like problems begin to reveal their true nature. By this point, you begin to look back at the things that once exhausted you the most: money, time, ways of caring, ways of closeness, ways each person needs to be loved. Before, you thought these were the core problems, that if you could solve them one by one, everything would be fine. But the deeper you go, the more you see they are only the surface. Money is not just about money. It is a question of mine and ours, of who carries more, of a sense of fairness that each person has been carrying for a very long time. Closeness is not just closeness. It is the feeling of being desired, being chosen, being seen, even without saying anything at all. Recurring arguments are not just about content, but because underneath them, there is a quiet worry. Do I matter to the other person? And when that worry has not been touched, everything else becomes tense. You begin to realize that you have tried to fix many things: the way you speak, the way you act, the way you react. But perhaps what needs to be seen clearly is not behavior. It is the feeling of where the two of you are standing with each other. Does each person feel that they have a place? Does each person feel respected in their own way? When those questions remain unanswered, every other issue is simply a place for them to surface. And when you begin to see this, you no longer want to argue to win. You want to understand, not to be right, but to know what you are truly searching for. That thought does not bring an immediate answer. It simply slows you down. And in that slowing, a final question begins to appear. No more circling, no more avoiding, just one thing. You need to ask yourself, perhaps by now, you are no longer looking for a quick answer, no longer asking, should I break up or continue? Who is right? Who is wrong? Am I making too much of this? Those questions sound very familiar, but often only make you more tired. The real question, perhaps, is this: when I am in this relationship, do I still get to be myself? Can you still say what you need without feeling guilty? Can you still feel that you are being chosen, not just kept because it is familiar? Not every relationship needs to end, but not every relationship is worth shrinking yourself a little more each day. Sometimes the most important thing is not a big decision. It is the moment you dare to be honest with yourself, honest that you are tired, honest that you have tried very hard. Honestly, there are things that if you keep staying silent, you will slowly lose yourself. If you have watched until this point, I know one thing. You are not here out of curiosity. You are here because of some part of this video has touched you. So I want to invite you to do one very small thing, but one that carries a lot of meaning. Leave a comment. It does not have to be beautiful. It does not have to be long. It just has to be real. It could be, I am in this feeling. I don't know what to do yet. Or simply, I understand. Each comment like that does not only help this video reach more people, It also helps people like you know that they are not alone. If you want to continue these slow, deep conversations where no one forces you to be strong, please follow the channel. Not because I have answers for you, but because here, we are not in a hurry to fix ourselves. We are just learning to understand ourselves first. And if this video made you think of someone who is silent, who is tired, who is trying hard to stay, share this video with them. You do not need to say anything else. Sometimes, having your true feelings seen is already a great source of support. We will meet again in other stories, in other deeper layers. For now, treat yourself a little more gently.